Good morning, everybody.
Hmm.
There's one simple hearing and home. And then at the end, I'll also go over some free alternatives to a lot of these features because pretty much Windows Pro Edition, whether you have Windows 10
Good morning, all.
Good morning, David.
I was wondering when we were thinking about doing recording and everything that perhaps can we just pause the recording while we're playing any YouTube videos?
I think the way Zoom works is if you pause or something, it may just stop. I'm not sure. And then you start again and it's like a second recording. And I think they have to be spliced together, but I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I was just looking for a easy way to have our meetings recorded and avoid having that, it's a difference between splicing them together or splicing it out.
Is there a pause button?
There is. It's just I haven't ever used it, so I just don't know.
Well, perhaps we could try.
I think I have used the pause button and it allowed it to resume without interruption. But I hesitate to base that on reality. But I think I've used pause without having to restart the recording, just take it off pause.
Mhm.
Well,
Well-
I'm going to pause it here for a minute. I've got the button and then I'll see what starting it again looks like. And then there's a resume recording, which I just clicked. So my problem will be remembering to do this at the right time when I'm trying to do three other things like share the screen and find the recording and turn the recording on and
That's what you
turn
have
the
your,
recording. Yeah.
so Hank, that's what you have your other members of the board here to help you with.
You mean they might nag me a little about something?
Did I say
You,
little?
I have a co-host to do that, like Saul. He's very good on details
Yep.
and the big picture too, I should add.
Okay, well, I will try that this morning.
You might also try Alexa. She works for me.
I don't have Alexa, but I will try to remember to do the pause at the beginning of the video presentation and remember to resume it afterward and see what happens.
Did you see that the recording had paused, or did you hear it was paused, Saul?
No, we can't tell, and you won't know until after the meeting and it all gets rendered, and you won't know what it actually did until then. Neither would I.
Oh, yes, I will. When I click the pause button, a red box came up, big red box, saying recording paused.
To clarify, what I meant was how the video ends up rendering out by Zoom. You won't know until you see the finished product.
Right.
And that would be after the end of this meeting. Because if it actually pauses and it's not on a keyframe and then it resumes, it may have a little glitchy part there trying to get synced up again. So I will try to do it, try to remember to do it because I'm also recording the meeting as a backup.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I notice on my Zoom screen, there's a little indicator up in the top right that says it's recording right now.
That would be if anybody is recording.
Oh, okay. So if one person pauses, it'll still say recording because somebody's recording.
Yes, and actually you will know if you look in the participants pane, you will see a red indicator next to the people who are recording.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's already 7:36. And we only have 15 participants. So I'll wait a few more minutes.
Yeah, for most of us, 7:36 was about 3 hours ago.
A lot longer for Joan.
So just while we're here waiting, Stanley, I showed Lisa your little spreadsheet about all the bingo results, and she was very impressed. And of course, then she immediately asked, well, this is all very good, but could you tell us who won which game?
I record when I win, but no, I am not recording who won which game. That was not my purpose. I don't intend to.
Okay, well, as with so many things, people can ask, but sometimes we're not going to give them what they ask for.
Yes, it's a great lesson in life.
Welcome, Alice. We haven't seen you for a while.
2 weeks is all. I'm assisting a friend that had serious surgery up in Irvine, so I've missed the last couple, but just those last two.
So is your friend doing better now?
Yeah, doing fine.
Well, that's good news then.
Right. I always like it to go the right way.
Well, we're up to 19. So I will pause the recording.
Hank, Debbie has her virtual hand up.
Oh, hi, Debbie. What can we do for you?
Hi, good morning. Yes, so I have a question. When I click on the link to get into these Zoom class and different Zoom classes, sometimes something pops up that says open Zoom meeting, and then there's the other thing that says launch meeting. And which one am I supposed to click first? And why does that open Zoom meeting sometimes appear and sometimes not?
I don't know. Saul?
I would click on the launch link, which is what I do. And I think why it comes up at times depends on the Zoom meeting and what the security is on it.
Yeah. And
So do I always have to click both? Because
Not both, not both,
the other, and I go back and forth,
not both, just the launch one.
just
Okay,
the launch one. So
yes.
the open Zoom meeting doesn't, just ignore it, in other words.
So
Yeah.
I might suggest that you open Zoom from the application on your computer first, then launch the link. Because I think that's maybe what is getting confused with it. Sometimes you might have that open and sometimes you might not. So again, open Zoom from your link of the program that's on your computer. I go in there and check my audio and video first. Then I click on the link to the meeting and the meeting opens right up.
Okay, so launch Zoom. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I remember right, the first time I got one of these links, it says, do you want to automatically launch it? And I said, yes. So I just click on the link, it opens up a browser page, then my Zoom automatically opens without me doing anything more.
Hank, is there any way when you're doing that you can slow it down? It seemed like if anything that was sped up.
Theo Joe's presentation? Yeah,
Yes.
I could have done that, but I didn't. Let's talk about the recording pause, etc. When I well, I think I'll wait until I actually look at the recording after this whole session is over, because several different things happened. I was able to pause the recording by clicking a button in the upper left corner of my Zoom screen, and a red box came up that said recording paused. And then when I put Theo Joe in full screen, it said an audio came on that said recording stopped. But when I finally got out of share screen, the red box saying recording paused was still on. And I clicked next to that and turned the recording or stopped the pause. So we're recording once again, I think, in one recording, but we will see. Yes, Dave.
Hank, well, Hank, let me just explain. I resumed my recording, and I don't think it said recording stopped. I think it said recording resumed for me, coincidentally at the same time you were getting out of Theo Joe.
Okay, so and that may be that. Yep.
And I just want to say that with both Hank and Saul, I think when you both stopped recording, I heard recording stopped and my little signifying that recording went away. And then when you guys started up again, the recording indicator came back on.
Yeah, that could very well be because I do get an audio when anyone records the meeting. Okay, David, you have your hand up. Is that for this or Q&A or what?
It's sort of about this. I was saying I've, for a long time used some of these things. I used like that VNC program because I have a bunch of other little computers, Raspberry Pis and stuff. And I just use VNC to go on that one so that I don't have to have a screen on that little computer. I can use my screen on my desktop and run that little computer from there. I also have on a few occasions used the quick assist where you call someone up on the phone and they have a problem and you walk them through how to go through the quick assist stuff where basically you make a request to them, something pops up on theirs, they say yes, I'm going to do that, and the code pops up. They read the code to you, you type it on your side, and then you're connected. You can see their screen, you can control their mouse and keyboard. And I found that can be quite useful for showing someone how to do something. Because one of the main things I found when trying to help someone remotely is if I can't see their screen, I can't describe where to go and what to click. So I found that's been useful. And then
David, what are you saying? What program is this called?
This is the one that's built into Windows. It's called Quick Assist.
Okay.
And it's a way of giving a remote person some assistance, but you need them to be there to basically allow you into their computer. It's the kind of thing that you don't want to do if someone's calling you on, someone you don't know is calling you on the phone.
Joe also mentioned Team Viewer, which I've used with my daughter so that she can control my computer completely. But you're right. Someone has to be sitting at both computers to exchange the password.
Yeah, and the code gets generated each time. And so each session is its own thing. So that was that. I was just wondering if Ross has any thoughts on which of these programs are good, useful, or does he have any other suggestions?
I've used all the programs he has mentioned with various levels of success. For my business, for what I use a program called Splash Top. It allows me then to email them a link, or they can go to splashtop.com, sos.splashtop.com, and download the program. Once they download it, they read me the number, just like in Quick Assist, and I'm on the computer. The advantage to me on that is that with a lot of the other programs, you are not an administrator on the local computer, which is good and bad. I need to have administrator rights on there. And with Splashtop, I can make it a permanent connection. Now, this I have to pay for, but it is still a very good, useful program to me. I used to use Log Me In. It got to be tremendously expensive, and then went to Splashtop, and that's where I am. The Team Viewer, it got to be pickier a few years ago with the free accounts. The more you used it, like if you tried to use it on a daily basis, it would come up and say, you know, you're doing this every day. You really need to pay us for that. And I had trouble keeping it working. So again, I've moved all of those free team viewers for people in offices to the Splashtop, and have them pay for a Splashtop account, and then they just have that and add other users for their business. And again, that's for business. It's there. But Splashtop works very well for me.
Have you, I was wondering about the sandbox stuff, because this part of the reason that I was interested in this was we talked several weeks ago about testing things out in a sandbox. And then when I went and looked about that, I found, well, that was a pro only thing. And then I remembered there's other things like, because I run basically a Linux install on, and it comes up in its own little window and everything like that, which is fine. But for testing out Windows programs, do you have a solution that you prefer to try something out in the sandbox?
I don't do that. I don't need to go in and test to see if a program works. The biggest thing I would do is try to do that is if I was concerned about whether there was a virus or something in that. And that I would use VirusTotal. I would upload that file to VirusTotal and have them scan to see if there's anything in it versus me trying to run it in there. A number of years ago, when the sandboxes first became popular and the VMs to run things in, the viruses then can detect that they're being run in a VM of some type and will not activate the virus.
Mm.
So again, I more rely on VirusTotal.
Okay. I think that about finishes my questions here.
All right, let's go to Q&A.
Well, before we go off of that, let me make a couple other comments on Pro versus home version of Windows. I don't think I have ever had a problem with somebody's home system where I said, okay, we need to now buy Windows Pro for this person to get the features that they want. There were other workarounds for most of the things that they had a problem with. The big difference for me, for people in business, is if we have a network in the office called a domain, you cannot connect to that through your local computer unless it is a Windows Pro. Now, if you have remote desktop like they spoke about on there, and I do believe there's still ways to put remote desktop onto your Windows home system, it doesn't have to be Pro that's there. The other thing is with, say, if you want to have BitLocker, you have to have Windows Pro on there, and you can do that as the gentleman showed. You can go in under the system settings, and then there's an option there when you talk about version of Windows. Do you want to upgrade to? And it's about $100 to upgrade from Windows Home to the Windows Pro. And I will tell you that that's really the only way that I know that you can do that. If you go out and buy a license key for Windows Pro, you cannot get it to be accepted in your current version of Windows. There's some magic that Microsoft does in there when it says, okay, yep, we see your home, and now you've paid us the $99 through your Microsoft account, and then they will quickly upgrade that version to Windows Pro. So that's what I would do, but you might contact me before you do that because I don't think you really need to at all.
I use Windows Pro mainly because it has Access in it, which the home version does not.
No, that's not true, sir.
That's not true?
You're talking about Microsoft Office Pro,
Oh, okay, thank you.
not Windows Pro. And as Microsoft almost is intentionally confusing on the terms that they use, and when they change the names on the programs, which adds to more and more confusion.
Oh, thank you for that. I wasn't thinking about it. One thing, I think everybody here knows that the scams essentially use the feature of controlling your computer. So, just make sure that whoever is going to control your computer, them what they're going to do. By the way, on the discussion of scams, the latest one I've got within the last couple of days is Publisher Clearinghouse calling and saying that you're a winner. And they've done a magnificent job of making it look real. The only clue you have really is that they ask for money up front, and PCH never asks for money up front. So, but they've done a really professional job. They've even set up their offices where Publisher Clearinghouse is in New York, out on Long Island. It's in almost the same building, so you can really get faked out on that particular one.
Yeah, unless you're sure and you can verify with multiple ways that this is a truly legitimate phone call, email, whatever it is. My wife has won a number of contests that were in substantial amount of money. What they will do is they will mail you, or you will download 1099 forms to fill out, and then you mail them back. And the difference is versus emailing them back is when you mail those, that's a federal offense for fraud if you use the US mail. So that's why all these people want to do it online.
Interesting. Okay, I guess we're moving into Q&A now.
Yes.
Okay, anybody have any specific questions?
Well, I just wanted to address what Alice asked about earlier, is the speed of the video. Obviously, usually Hank posts a link on the SCG website to the video presentations made. You can go there and play it yourself, and then you have control through the settings on YouTube to adjust the speed of the playback. That was actually the normal 100% speed. Theo Joe just speaks very fast.
And I have a comment before we get into more Q&A. I have a comment about this pausing the recording. We have been talking now for a good 5 minutes, I guess, about the recording, and the recording won't be in we've been talking about Theo Joe's presentation, and Theo Joe's presentation won't be in the recording that we make. So I think it will be a lot less useful, and all the comments that we've had since his presentation cut off will be hard to understand without having seen his whole show. So, and I've only been dinged once where I actually had to delete the whole recording from YouTube. So I think maybe this pause the recording is not the solution.
Well, it may be that that's a feature now of an upgraded version of Zoom. That if Zoom detects that you are playing a video from YouTube, they automatically pause the recording. That was my wondering when you were just speaking about that.
No, when they have either totally deleted my recording from YouTube, or in a couple of cases, they have simply said, your YouTube recording contains copyrighted material. However, the owner of the copyright does not mind your rebroadcasting their presentation. So this is just a note, no penalty to you, and you're not being deleted.
So again, my wonderance is if Zoom is detecting that you are playing a YouTube video and we'll then turn off their recording of that.
That is not the case, Ross. It is not
Okay.
a Zoom issue. It is a a YouTube issue.
Okay, that's fine.
And the recording is available, just not available as part of our YouTube presentation.
Yeah.
And I can watch two windows at the same time if I need to.
Okay. Back to Q&A. Let us see some hands if you have a cue.
It's like everybody is up to date, having no problems with it. Good. Let me ask a question for future meetings. Is anybody interested in how to set up your function keys on your keyboard? Mine has 12 function keys and I use all of them, and they really are a great time saver and also a great way to make sure you're not typing in the wrong information.
Yes, I think that's.
I would like that. It's a good review.
Okay.
You ready to make a presentation, Will, or can become ready?
I can become ready. Yes.
Okay,
I'll be in touch with you.
let me know when. All right, next.
Well, I'll just mention on behalf of Stan that next week is the board meeting. So it wouldn't be that date for Will's presentation.
Of course not. And I have another presentation lined up for the week after that, so it'll be at least 3 weeks.
And the other comment I would make regarding that topic, for those who go back far enough to remember WordPerfect, and they used to have these little template things that overlaid the function keys so you could remember what each function key did when you did Control or Shift or Alt or whatever with them. That's the challenge, if you don't have that, to remember what all of those keys do, even if you set them up.
I keep a little Post-it note on the side of my monitor that tells me what the different function keys do, but you usually memorize most of them, but that's okay. That's the way.
Yeah.
It's a great feature. I love it and use it all the time, particularly for putting in passwords and things like that.
Yeah.
Or credit card numbers. That's really great for that.
Yeah. There's some things that get done automatically with your password manager and things like that. But sometimes you really want to have that little strip, and you may need a strip for WordPerfect, then a different strip for this other program, and a different strip for your video editor and so on.
Yeah.
And
We used to have those.
yeah, and if you find that you do that, they're probably worth making, and the actual physical layout is going to depend on what your physical keyboard looks like.
Right.
And as long as I have the floor, I was going to say to Ross that I did order one of those UMA boxes, and I got it a couple days later. I put it in, got it hooked up. I got my new temporary number and I've put in to get my regular number ported over. And then I can drop my about $30 per month from Cox on the landline.
Yeah. I'm seeing more and more. I about every other day I see in the news that a new cable company somewhere in the United States has dropped their television service because so many people are no longer subscribing to it. And I'm sure the same thing is going to be happening with the telephone. It seems like, and I didn't realize when I first started doing this, that the cable services are having a lot of problems keeping up with dropping memberships.
Yeah, or dropping services, and
Right.
I still use them for my basic internet, unlike you. But other than that, everything else I do, all my video is streamed through the internet connection.
Dan?
Yes, I'm sitting at a Chrome box, and there are no function keys.
Sorry about that, Dan.
So how does it function?
Functions quite well through Chrome software, some kind of way. to a browser.
I think laptops have a different set of function keys than straight up full box computers. Am I
No, they
correct?
have the same function keys that are there. Some of them do have additional FN where you hold FN key down and it will turn on the brightness up or down or turn the microphone on or off. But as far as the same number of 12 function keys, that's built into Windows. So if it's a Windows box, it'll have those 12 function keys. But again, those can be programmed like what Will's talking about. By holding the FN key down in each individual, whether it's HP, Toshiba, Lenovo, has different features that are built into those function keys.
Yeah, I have that. I have that key on my computer that changes what the function keys do.
Yeah, Windows has a lot of function key setups just with a Windows key. Windows key plus a function key will do things. So
Sammy?
literally you have more than 12 function keys because you can change it by holding down another key while you're doing it, like the Alt key or the Windows key or the Control key or the Shift key. So you can literally have like 50 different function key, if you can remember
Sammy?
all those things.
Go ahead, Sammy.
Oh, okay. This is just a point of information. I've been fooling around with AI lately, having some fun with it. And I have found they give you some hints on how to get a successful reply. And if you start out your question with, what if it works, you'll get an answer. And it's pretty good.
What if WHATIF is in
Yeah,
Frank?
what if, 2 words, asking a question. What if I wanted you to write a letter for me of complaint? And
What
it'll
is the
come up.
second word?
Pardon?
IF.
IF, what if?
Is
What?
the second, Sammy, is the second word India Frank?
IF as in Frank.
Okay.
Thank you.
If. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Sammy. Don Raymond.
Okay, I have to say that I got a couple UMU boxes in yesterday, and I haven't set them up yet. They told me they had to sell me 2 because I had 2 different incoming phone lines. Don't know if that's true or not, but
No.
they swore that it was, and that the only way I could do business with them was if I bought 2 boxes. So I got a box with 2 boxes.
Well, I have 2 telephone lines and have had for 8-9 years now, and they all come through one box, one physical box.
I noticed on the back of the little box that there are 2 RJ11 ports, and I assume that one phone line goes in one and one goes in the other.
Well, so those are outgoing. Well, I shouldn't say outgoing. Those are for plugging in handsets. And I thought there was only one on mine as far as an RJ11. The other one was a network connection.
RJ45.
Yes.
Well, it's got an RJ45 connector, and it's got 2 RJ11 connectors, and
Okay.
so how do you get 2 inbound phone lines on one UMU box?
I don't know about UMA, but going back to standard plain old telephone service and an RJ11, it has 4 wires. You only need 2 per line. The center 2 is line 1, the outer 2 are line 2 on the same connector.
Yes, that's true. That wasn't the question, though. The question
Okay,
is
so,
on,
well,
that's
okay.
called tip and ring, but anyway.
So I have a UMA box. I have 2 distinct telephone numbers. UMA takes care of that as far as what numbers come in to the UMA box through the internet. It's an internet-based device. Now, the telephones that I have are UMA telephones, and I have programmed the handsets to say, this one rings on line 1, this one rings on line 2, but I could set them up so that they both ring on line 1 and 2.
But
Do
again,
you
that's
get a
all
different
through,
ringtone?
I'm sorry,
You get a different ringtone based on line?
on the handset, I do. That's not an UMA feature, that's a feature of the handset, which is an UMA handset, but it's not to have to do with the box itself. You go
Well,
in and
they didn't-
choose.
They didn't send me any handsets. I was wondering if I needed them or not, or if I'd stay with my existing ones.
You can stay with your existing ones.
I noticed that they have many different ones in the picture on their website. It's not just, they've got half a dozen different handsets and boxes and all kinds of stuff on the UMA website.
Okay,
I didn't know whether you had a special one of those. All I got is just a little, what looks like a little, small little hub.
Yeah.
But Ross, Don started out by saying when he got his UMA, a note came with it that said, "You have 2 telephone lines, therefore we have to sell you 2 UMA boxes." Isn't that
I don't
what
know.
you said, Don?
Well, I actually called UMA, the people, and talked with them, and they were pleasant. And anyway, called them and talked with them, and they were very pleasant and made their recommendations. And they said, because one of your lines is, according to them, a business line, you have to have 2 lines. And I said, hey, the business is me, one guy. I'm it. There's no employees anymore. I'm nearly 80 years old and I don't have any employees. And they said, no, you got to go with 2 lines, 2 boxes.
I don't know why. The box that, again, I bought mine through I kind of think I bought mine through Costco. I don't remember. I know, but that's what I spoke about when I showed it there. And you can then buy them through Costco. The box that looks like an answering machine from Costco. I'm sure that they have different base units, but then
There's my UMA box.
okay, that does not look like mine by any means. Mine again looks like an answering machine. It's
Yep.
a much larger square box. And again, if you look at the Costco.com and you would see what it is that I have.
Okay, well, that's why I said this looks like a little switch or hub.
Right.
Which you pretty much looks exactly like a hub, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I understand. And I do see that you have the 2 green connectors on the back on the right-hand side that look like for handsets. So you could put 2 different handsets in there. Are there different symbols next? I guess there is. Well, line 1 and line 2. So that to me, that box right there infers to me that it will support 2 telephone lines.
Well,
Let me
It has a
that's what
1
I
and a 2.
originally, that's
Let
what
me
I
see the
originally
front of that.
thought.
Don, hold it up to see so I can see the front of it.
On the front of it is this. The side
The
is
top,
this.
I want to see the top
The
of
side
it.
is this, the top is this,
Okay, that doesn't look like the one I have.
and this is the back. And these are, of course, the blue ones are, of course, the RJ45 jacks.
Right.
And the RJ11 jacks are the green ones. And yes, they're 4-wire green ones. So, we got tip and ring twice, just like, Saul said, exactly what he said. And 8 wires versus 4 wires and so forth. But anyway, I just got this in yesterday and I was wondering I haven't tried to hook it up yet. And I was wanting this meeting this morning to further educate myself so that I knew what was what. And Ross says, hey, he's got 1 box, 2 lines.
What it shows on the back of your box right there. It shows 1 green that has a 2 on it and 1 green that has a 1 on it.
So that should support 2 handsets, two separate handsets.
And you should have some instructions on there or through UMA that talks about that. I'm kind of wondering if you were sold more than what you needed to have because the gentleman was tasked with selling what they had in the back room.
I think
I
think
wondered
you
about
could
that.
Don, just for curious, how much do they charge you for that?
They want basically $25 a line.
Well, I mean, for the box.
Well, they charged me It's like $80. It was supposed to be some great super deal. I don't know whether it was a good deal or not. $80 is fine. I don't care. I got $80. That's not, so it didn't bother me, but I'll save a lot more than $80. I'm paying $80 a month for each of the 2 phone lines.
Yeah,
So,
but I would have you concentrate on trying to get both lines to work on the one physical box that you have. Don't mention that you have a second box. Just say, I got one box here and I got these 2 telephone lines. I've got them now ported over and they should work off the one box that you have. That is an internet device on there. So it has a one of a million IP addresses available, or I should say MAC addresses available to that. And that's how they address it on the internet. They come across your internet to your box and say, yep, I see here's box number 22. And we will then activate the ports on box 22 for telephone 1 and telephone 2. That's the way mine works. But you should have some documentation on that physical box also that says, here's what it's capable of, and this is how you do it.
I was really impressed with the limited documentation I got because it was this little book right here.
Yep.
And there's 1 page of instructions. Other pages are instructions in French and German and so forth, but there's 1 page for each language. It's amazing. The people really seem to have their act together.
You should be able to get more information on there. That, to me, what David is showing, the kind of box that I have.
Don,
That's
did you in fact have 2 telephone lines when you started out this process?
You saying Don or Ross?
Don.
Yeah, I have had 2 telephone lines. I've had actually 3 telephone lines for years. I canceled one of them, which was my fax line. And I've had a business line and a home line for,
Okay.
I don't know, 40 years, 50 years. That's some long time.
Can I ask Don a question?
Please.
Do you have 2-line telephones?
I have a 2-line base and 1 2-line telephone. I have 1 2-line base, which is a wireless Panasonic gadget that supports many different little handsets.
Yeah.
And it's got a RJ11 4-wire connector in there. And another RJ11 connector on the back of it, I guess. And then I have a GE thing, an old GE phone on the back, and it has a 2-line RJ11 interface, and then it has another line.
Yep.
That's where I was heading. And so the point is, I presume if anybody gets Ooma or something comparable, you're going to connect a 4-wire standard old telephone cable with modular plugs, RJ11s, from that box into your existing home wiring. And that's how it's going to connect to all the phones in your home. And you're running 2 lines on that 1 cable.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But in general, you would plug in your wireless base into the Ooma box, and then you communicate to the handsets through wireless, as the telephone works as wireless. That's the way I do mine.
That's the way I run mine. Is I don't use the Ooma handsets. I just plug it into my Panasonic
same thing
wireless. Yeah.
Works fine. And the other comment I would make is that having 2 RJ11 jacks on a device, for all of those people who might go back in time to answering machines and fax machines, they generally had a pass-through port so that you could plug in your line from your wall jack to the device on one, and the second one could have a telephone on it, or on an answering machine, you'd plug in the answering machine in one to the wall, and then the second jack was for your telephone.
Ross, you said that you have a system whereby Ooma sends you an email of your various calls.
I pay for a service, so that I pay for answering service through Ooma on my business line. And then on there, then I get an email, because I can say, do this. And it is now sends it to my cell phone, so that I get a link on there that I have the attachment that shows the voicemail that was left for me on Ooma.
Could I ask, what do they charge for that service?
I think it was about $10 a month.
Okay, thank you.
The only problem I really have with that is I listen to it through my cell phone, then I forget to go back through and delete it from UMA. So then I get a notice from UMA saying, hey, you're running out of space. You've got 125 phone calls stored at UMA. So then I need you to go in and say, oh, yeah, let's get rid of all of these old ones.
Okay, Donna. I'm sorry,
Pat?
Don Raymond, are you finished?
Yes, yes, I am, except I gotta find my lower hand there.
Okay. Okay, Pat, you got your hand up.
Yeah, this is kind of a crazy question, but it's back to the function keys. And like I have the Mac and I'm looking at my Mac keyboard, which I don't use. I use the PC keyboard. And there's little things on this that I guess I could do. And I'm assuming I can do it on my PC
Keyboard.
but I'm wondering, if you're gonna do a keyboard update and all that, how does, and maybe Ross knows the answer to this, will that, if I change the stuff that Apple has on here to whatever I want with this new thing, is that gonna work or not?
I don't know how you would change. I have never done that on a Mac to say, I want to change this function key to do this instead of that. I have not added or modified the Apple keyboard in the operating system to say when I do this and this. But as far as the keyboard itself, whether it's a PC keyboard or it's an Apple keyboard, if you use the alternate and the control key and the Windows key, there are functions on your Apple keyboard that are equivalent to that. And I would have you look at eBay and get stickers to put onto those keys so that when they say you need to hit the command key, okay, you look down there and say, okay, is that one right there?
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and to help answer Pat's question, on Macs, if you go under the system preferences for keyboard, there will be a tab there where you can program any combination, including the existing pre-assigned ones, and change them or add to them in any way you want to do so.
Good.
So that's system preferences, okay.
Or the keyboard.
Okay,
For the keyboard, yeah. And the only thing else I'll mention on that is I try to use on a Mac a standard Windows keyboard that has 2 buttons, so that I have the right click available to me. That the mouse, you have to hold a control key down on your keyboard to get to right click. So I like having a Windows keyboard on there, so I have that when I want to do something, I can just right click it and brings that little menu up for me.
right, I've got the right click. That was really annoying when I didn't have that. So yeah, I put that in there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ross. And Saul.
Thanks, Pat. Anybody else with questions?
Well,
Okay, I guess it's back to you, Hank.
sounds like that's it for today. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah. A shorter meeting than usual. We usually run an hour and a half, and this is only just an hour. So I will see you all next week. Stan, I imagine you will send out an agenda for the board.
Yeah, I'll be sending out the agenda. I noticed that we got the minutes from David. I presume those went to the board. Is that correct, David? Yeah.
Yeah, I sent out to everyone and people were happy with it this month, so the original one can stand.
All right, and thank you all for being here.
Saul has,
David?
hello.
All?
Well, as Stan, I expect, was about to say, next week is the board meeting, but the reason I raised my hand was for the locals here, as opposed to our remote visitors. Tomorrow is the annual Rock and Roll Marathon in San Diego, and so there will be a number of road closures, and part of 163 from around the downtown area up to Friars Road, northbound only, will be closed from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. So plan ahead if you are going to be in any of those areas. And it does cover a large part of the city, from central area like Balboa Park, Normal Heights out toward Mission Bay. It covers a large area, so you may encounter some road closures tomorrow morning.
What time does it start, Saul?
Early.
The roads get shut down. The local road closures get shut down at 5:15 a.m. and they're supposed to open up, I believe, at 10:30. But the freeway, and there's more than one freeway. I just mentioned the 163 because that's near where I live. But I think maybe in parts of 5 or on and off ramps may be affected, are from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m.
But the race actually starts at what, 7?
I don't know. You can look
Okay.
it up, Will. I'm not running in it.
Oh, you're not? I thought you were gonna run it. Do we have anybody on here that's gonna run in it? I guess not.
They're also having a half marathon for those who aren't as ambitious tomorrow.
Is there anyone who wants to stay on here? If not, I will close the whole thing down.
Okay.
Last chance.
Thank you again, and bye-bye
Thanks.
until
Bye,
next week.
everybody.
Thank you, Hank.
See you next week. Aloha.